Hey, this is my recap of The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 9, Episode 15, Bali Highs and Lows. Now, this is the episode where Lizzie comes tearing out of the back race and takes everything over. So she's been pretty quiet, pretty low-key all season. You know, Vicky gave her a really hard time, and she did kind of push back, but, you know, she just let things go, and she's laying all her cards on the table. Good for Lizzie. So we open up with everyone preparing for the trip. We see everyone packing and talking about their various issues. You know, Vicky and Tamara kind of had some stuff with Lizzie. Vicky and Danielle kind of had some problems, which is related to the Vicky and Lizzie problem. Shannon and Heather clearly have their problems. But thank goodness it looks like we are finally at least moving away from that topic and coming to the real root of the problem, which I'll get to soon. So everybody gets to fly first class, which looks amazing. One time I got to fly to England first class because someone in my family had a voucher and it's going to expire, and so I got it. And their first class pictures put that to shame. But still, oh, this is why I need to be on a reality show, people. We got to do something about this, okay? So we get there, Tamara's really surprised by the appearance. Makes me think that she hasn't traveled a lot. So a lot of the stuff they were saying, I went to Honduras, I went to Roatan for a wedding, and it was a very similar situation where, you know, you do feel really guilty, like you're there on vacation, there's all this poverty around you, and you're like, oh, I'm a real jerk. Anyway, she gives them, Heather gives everyone at dinner these little crowns, these little paper crowns. It's an incredibly boring meal to watch. Everyone's exhausted, they go to bed. The next day, everybody gets up, they do their thing, they're drinking, they're having fun. Shannon and Vicky go on a kayak where we get a lovely view of Shannon's big toe for like, who knows how long, it's just the way they put the camera. Anyway, they flip over. There you go. They go ride elephants. Vicky gets car sick. She's dry heaving. Super gross. It's still not a lot's happening, but we're setting up some stuff. Now, on the elephant, Shannon and Lizzie are together, and Shannon talks a little, or Lizzie talks a little bit about her birthday party and mentions this whole thing about Vicky screaming about Dumb and Dumber. Now, last week I talked about this, that I said that production must have said something. They keep saying screaming, and yet we very clearly hear Vicky talking underneath her breath. So I'm going to revise my view in lieu of the fact of additional information, which is that she probably was screaming, but they didn't catch it on camera. They got the mics, so they used the footage of her saying it again underneath her breath, because Vicky acknowledges that she might have been talking about it. Lizzie's very okay with letting that go, and I think that's a good choice. You know, I'm not always the biggest Vicky fan, but it does appear that sometimes she lets her mouth run, but it's not really malicious. But we do see that someone is malicious because we are repeatedly seeing Tamara tell one person that never happened, and then turning around to someone else and saying, oh my gosh, this totally happened. We see her saying, yes, I said this, and then saying, no, I said this. And we're seeing it all on camera, so it's becoming kind of clear. Anyway, Lizzie kind of talks with this whole thing with Vicky screaming, and then, you know, Tamara not coming, and then something about Tamara texting Danielle about making fun of Lizzie's outfit. I don't really get it all. Anyway, later on that evening, they all sit down for drinks, and Vicky brings up the Dumb and Dumber comment, and what kind of bummed me out is that Lizzie had really been okay with kind of brushing it underneath, you know, like, it's okay. But somehow it was a much bigger deal when they all confronted the issue than it had been. And I feel like Vicky, when she sees the episode, is going to be like, oh yeah, it's totally not a big deal. Lizzie clearly got where I was at, not a big deal. But that particular encounter, they made it seem like a bigger deal than it was. Anyway, somehow... And this whole thing about, you know, the birthday party, Lizzie was more upset. And they showed some really awful footage of her getting on her husband, and it was really bad. Like, she made a statement about his manliness, and if he doesn't have next birthday isn't good, I'm gonna leave him. And it was really bad. I mean, I'm sure she's really embarrassed about that footage because it was really bad. Anyway, she's clearly still bent out of shape about it. This whole thing where Vicky, Tamara, and Heather leave. Heather goes to bed. Tamara and Vicky gossip some more. Lizzie, Shannon, and Danielle stay out there and talk. And Lizzie kind of lays it all out. There's some weird stuff with Lizzie having texted Tamara on her birthday, and Tamara thought everything was okay. And then later on, Lizzie gets really upset. I'm not sure what that's all about. It's very clear that Lizzie was probably drinking that night and didn't remember some of the stuff that happened. But anyway... Lizzie spills the dirt to Shannon that Tamar's been talking about behind her back, which Tamar has done all season. We see her go to Shannon and say Heather's a bitch. We see her go to, go to Heather and say Shannon's crazy. She's going to Vicky making fun of Heather. She's going to Heather and say, no, we're best friends. She's been playing both sides of the coin all season. Okay. And it hasn't really been a benefit to anyone. No one's coming out good on this. She's saying, watch out for Vicky. She's saying bad things about Brooks, but then she's, supposed to be Vicky's friend. Anyway, Lizzie lets it know to Shannon that Tamara is saying that she's crazy, that, making fun of her, all this stuff, and it all comes out. Now, Lizzie's been saying for a while, I don't trust Tamara. Shannon's been saying for a while, I don't trust Tamara. So clearly when their stories don't match, everyone's like, well, clearly Tamara's the common element. And I think they're right. I mean, really. So it's all kind of coming to a head. And there was something weird that went on about, at Heather's party, they had this game about, who would you screw, who would you marry, who would you do. Anyway, Eddie said he would do Lizzie. Lizzie said she would do Eddie. Now, I know Tamara's insecure with the fact that Eddie's so much younger than her, and the fact that she's, it's older. And it is, thanks a lot, God, because it does get harder as you get older. It just, women, it's bloody unfair. Anyway, so we know that Tamara's already insecure, and somehow they got into a fight about this, and I don't really understand the whole thing. But clearly, this issue is about to come to a head, and I am shocked that it's Lizzie who's bringing it to a head, but I guess somebody had to. So that is The Real Housewives of Orange County, and I'm dying to see what happens next.